Welcome back, deep divers. Today, we're going way, way back to ancient wisdom.
Oh, I love it when we do this.
Yeah, me too. Dusting off those old scrolls. We're diving into the book of Genesis.
Okay.
But not just any part. We're going right to the end, Genesis 50, where the story of Joseph and his family, gets really intense.
Oh, yeah, this is a powerful one. Talk about family drama.
For real. So quick recap for anyone who maybe missed Sunday school. Joseph, sold into slavery by his own brothers.
Can you imagine?
Seriously, but hold on. He rises to power in Egypt, famine strikes. Guess who ends up saving everyone?
It's like a soap opera, ancient Egypt style.
Totally. But we're skipping ahead to the aftermath. Genesis 50. Jacob, Joseph's father, dies. The text describes these incredible mourning rituals, like a huge procession back to Canaan. You can tell this was a huge deal.
Right, even back then, ritual and tradition played such a huge role in dealing with loss. Honoring your ancestors, that connection to something bigger than yourself.
Okay, but here's where it gets juicy. Joseph's brothers, the ones who, sold him into slavery.
Yeah, they're not exactly feeling warm and fuzzy.
They're terrified. They're thinking Gad's gone. Joseph is going to have his revenge. I mean, that's got to be some serious guilt, right?
You can just feel the weight of their past actions crushing them.
Totally.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Joseph, he does the unexpected. He forgives them. And not just a, hey, water under the bridge kind of thing. This is deep, profound forgiveness. He even says, you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good.
Wow. That's powerful. He reframes his entire experience, choosing to see the bigger picture. It's incredible and honestly really inspiring.
It's like he acknowledges the pain, the betrayal, but he chooses to focus on the good that came from it. Lives were saved, families reunited. It makes you think, what are we holding on to?
Right. How often do we let the past dictate our present, our happiness even?
Okay, now another twist. Joseph, despite all his power in Egypt, requests to be buried back in Canaan. Not some fancy Egyptian tomb, but back in the land of his ancestors.
I find that so fascinating. He could have had anything, but his heart remained connected to his heritage.
So we've got forgiveness, legacy, finding purpose in the face of hardship. These themes, they're so old, but they still feel relevant, right? Like they speak to something deep within us.
It's the human experience. It transcends time. It's what makes these ancient stories so powerful, so timeless. They're still teaching us, still challenging us thousands of years later.
For sure. And we're just getting started with this deep dive into the wisdom of Genesis 50. So we've talked about forgiveness, but let's be honest, it's tough, right? Like, how do we actually apply this ancient wisdom to our own lives, especially when we've been hurt, really hurt?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? I mean, Joseph's story is inspiring, but how do we translate that into real-life situations?
That's right, because it's easy to say forgive and forget, but when you're dealing with those raw emotions, anger, resentment, it's a whole different ballgame.
It is, but I think that's where Joseph's story gives us a framework. He shows us that forgiveness isn't about weakness, it's about strength. It's about recognizing that holding on to anger, it actually hurts us more than anyone else.
So it's like we're holding ourselves hostage, in a way.
Exactly. We're carrying this heavy baggage, this weight that's dragging us down, and it doesn't change what happened. It doesn't make the pain disappear.
Yes, it keeps it fresh. I get that.
Yeah.
So forgiveness is more about letting go of that weight for our own well-being.
Exactly. Joseph could have easily become bitter, vengeful, but he chose a different path, a path that led to healing, to reconciliation.
Okay, but what about those times when it feels impossible to forgive? Like when someone's actions have had serious consequences, how do you even begin to let go of that?
Those are the times when forgiveness is the most challenging, but also potentially the most transformative. It doesn't mean condoning what happened or forgetting the pain. It's about choosing to release those negative emotions that are keeping you captive. It's about breaking free from that cycle of anger and resentment.
Okay, so how do we even start that process? Because it's not like flipping a switch, right?
Yeah, right. It takes time. It takes self-reflection. Sometimes it even takes professional help to work through those deep-seated emotions. There's no shame in reaching out for support, whether it's a therapist, a counselor, or even just a trusted friend or mentor.
I think that's important to remember. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. We talked about Joseph's burial request. He specifically asked to be buried in Canaan, the land of his ancestors, even though he held this prominent position in Egypt. Why was that so important to him?
That, to me, is a powerful statement about heritage and legacy. Even though Joseph achieved incredible success in Egypt, he never forgot where he came from. His identity, his values, his sense of belonging, they were rooted in his family history and his spiritual beliefs.
It's like he's saying, my success, my status, it doesn't define me. My roots, my connection to something bigger, that's what matters.
Right. And in a world that often emphasizes individual achievement, material success, it's easy to lose sight of those deeper connections. So how do we, in our modern lives, how do we honor our heritage? How do we build a legacy that truly matters?
Yeah, that's a big question.
It is, but I think it starts with recognizing and valuing the traditions, the values, the stories that have shaped us. It's about understanding our place in a larger narrative, whether it's our family history, cultural heritage, spiritual beliefs, whatever it may be.
So it's not just about clinging to the past, it's about understanding how it informs our present and shapes our future.
Exactly. It's about taking the best of what we've inherited, the resilience, the wisdom, the values, and using them as a foundation for building our own meaningful lives.
You know, it's amazing how much wisdom we can glean from a story that's thousands of years old. Forgiveness, legacy, finding purpose in hardship. These themes, they're so timeless, so relevant to our lives today.
It's incredible, isn't it? And it speaks to the enduring power of these ancient stories and the wisdom they hold. They offer guidance, inspiration for navigating the complexities of human experience, even across centuries.
And they remind us that we're not alone in our struggles.
Mhm.
Humanity has been grappling with these same questions for generations.
Exactly. And, we'll continue to grapple with them. That's the beauty of it. There's always more to learn, more to explore, more to discover within ourselves and within these timeless narratives.
Beautifully said. Stick with us, deep divers, as we continue to explore the wisdom of Genesis 50. Okay, so we've talked about forgiveness, legacy, but there's one more piece of this story that really strikes me. It's about how we show up for others when they're going through tough times, like when they're grieving or facing some major challenge.
Oh, absolutely. This is huge. I mean, look at how Joseph mourns his father. Those elaborate rituals, the genuine outpouring of grief. It's like a blueprint for how to support others in their pain.
Yeah, it's like they understood, even back then, that grief is a communal experience. You don't go through it alone.
Exactly. And sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is just be present with someone who's hurting, to offer a listening ear, a shoulder to cry on, a safe space to just, feel their feelings without judgment.
It's so true. We often feel like we need to have all the right words, the perfect advice, but sometimes just being there is enough.
More than enough. And it connects back to this whole idea of forgiveness,
Hmm.
When we choose to forgive, we're not just letting go of anger, we're also opening ourselves up to compassion, to empathy.
Yeah, I see that. It's like forgiveness creates this space for healing, both for ourselves and for the people around us.
Beautifully put. And that healing, it can ripple outwards, creating a more compassionate, more understanding world.
I love that. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Genesis 50, it feels like we've uncovered some pretty powerful and surprisingly relevant lessons. Forgiveness as strength, finding purpose in the midst of hardship, honoring our heritage, showing up for others in their pain. These themes, they're thousands of years old, but they still speak to us, don't they?
They really do. It's a testament to the enduring power of these stories, the wisdom they hold, and their ability to guide us, even across centuries.
Absolutely. So deep divers, as we leave you today, we want to leave you with something to ponder, something to take with you as you go about your day. Think about a challenging experience in your own life, something that caused you pain, maybe even forced you to grow. Can you, like Joseph, find a way to see it as part of a larger purpose?
And if you're not there yet, that's okay. Healing takes time. Forgiveness isn't always easy. But just asking the question, starting to look for that silver lining, that can be a powerful step toward finding peace and maybe even purpose.
Beautifully said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into ancient wisdom. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep diving deep.